In this video, I'm going to show you an easy way to use AI to make better ads. So all you have to do for this is pretty straightforward, is you're going to take your script or you're going to take your video ad, whatever you have, you're going to upload it into ChatGPT, and then all you're going to do is you're going to give it this prompt that I'm about to show you. So a lot of people have this misconception and they think, oh, well, because I used AI for something, it's worthless or it's not possible to get something good using AI. That's a bunch of bull crap. You just don't know how to use AI and you don't know how to use it properly. And so you assume because when you use it, the stuff that you get doesn't sound right, that it just can't work. So you need to, if that's the case, you need to learn how to use AI because everybody in the marketing space, just about nearly everybody, is using AI for something that they're doing. And that's just because it's a very powerful tool that can help to speed up the work that you're doing and make you more efficient. And that is very important whenever you're trying to accomplish stuff, is being efficient at what you're doing. So do I just take this ChatGPT and say, hey, write me a script and then just copy and paste that with no context, no details? No, that's not how you do it. So you have to know how to use the tool. So here's the prompt. This is just a basic prompt. It could be something along the lines of this that you can give ChatGPT, assuming let's say, for example, you are a 7-figure a year, you're 6 to 7-figure a year e-com brand, and you're trying to get to maybe 8 figures. So if that's the case, you can give ChatGPT the prompt, which is something along these lines. You are a top-level creative strategist for an 8-figure D2C e-commerce brand. Review my ad and give me detailed feedback on how to make my ad better as an 8-figure creative strategist. Now, you could just say, as an 8-figure creative strategist, review this Facebook ad, tell me how to make it better. Something along the lines of that. And the output is probably going to be pretty solid. So I'll give you an example here. Let's go over here to ChatGPT, and we are going to look at just some of the feedback for this ad. So this was an ad that was done. I didn't actually fully write this script. We kind of worked in collaboration on this one. And so there's some things, that maybe I would have done a little differently, but let's just see what it says. So review this ad as a top-level creative strategist for an 8-figure brand. So that's all I said in this case. Now, I gave it the video that it's reviewing, and it said, I've reviewed the ad you uploaded through the lens of a top-level creative strategist working with 8-figure D2C brands. Here's the breakdown. The ad has strong potential, but it feels like it's sitting in the middle of the funnel rather than as cold traffic. Okay, that's a fair point. Rather than as a cold traffic killer. It communicates the product, but the emotional trigger, pacing, and first-second hook need refinement to compete in a noisy Facebook or TikTok feed. That's a fair point. And so what is it saying? The opening is not a thumb stopper. I would probably agree with that. I would agree with what it's saying. This ad, if we think about the hook that is being shown in this specific ad, it shows the problem, but it's not really eye-catching. It's not like a really strong statement that's being said in that first couple seconds, right? And so that is likely going to contribute to maybe this ad doesn't perform as well just because the hook needs a stronger hook, right? And so that is a very good point. And then it says you need a pattern interrupt. Very interesting. So we're not going to go through like this, all the feedback that's showing you for this specific ad. I'll go down to a script that I have, but I want to show you, some of the stuff that it's showing for this specific ad. So hook in the first 3 seconds, the current state. The opening is not a thumb stopper, and then it says the opportunity is you need a pattern interrupt, either an extreme close-up of a nasty bottle being knocked over for this brand, right? They sell this product that gets rid of these bottles. It's basically a better bottle or whatever the case is. So basically it's saying an extreme close-up of a nasty bottle being knocked over to agitate the pain point that this product solves, or a wife, girlfriend yelling about the mess, because a lot of times it's the wives or girlfriends who are actually buying this product for a guy, so showing them upset about the mess could appeal, and really kind of hit on that pain point if we have a good clip of that. And I agree. Or it says a loud, bold claim overlay, text, so that's interesting. I like this too. And it says, this is where big brands invest most of their energy in those first 2 seconds to dictate CPM efficiency. which is interesting. So I like that. I like the feedback that it's giving. And then you can go through and you can see there's all sorts of feedback. Now let's go down here and let's see what it says about 142. So it says, got it. I've reviewed your second ad from the perspective of a creative strategist. Here's the breakdown. This version is punchier and tighter than the first. The shorter runtime works in its favor. Modern scroll stoppers need to deliver the hook and the core message first. However, it still leans on functional instead of emotional. To really scale, we need to inject identity, pain, urgency into the cut. Sorry. So then it reviews this ad. This one's like 18 seconds, I believe. It actually had a really strong hook rate. So the hook was actually really good on this ad, but whenever it earned a bunch of spin, what we saw is our blended metrics did get worse. So we ended up turning this one off. We might try to turn it back on and see what happens. But with this specific ad, it had a really strong hook rate, but the blended results over the period it was running were not as great. Now, it could have been some seasonality at play, could have just been a bad week, but regardless, that's kind of what happened with that ad. So you can go through here and see, once again, same kind of deal here. It's giving feedback on this specific ad. So now let's go to something over here. Let's find a script that I did. So let's see. We're going to go through here, and here's a script that we have. Let's see here. Where's it at? Where's it at? There we go. So this one. So this is a script that I have made, and this one, it actually said was pretty good. So if we go over here, this one says the script is on the right track. It's playful, it's problem aware, and it has multiple hook variations to test. It's closer to a true cold traffic winner than the Founder Story one. So this one's saying this one's better. This one's closer to what an 8-figure brand would have with their script. So this is something I came up with. Now it says, however, it can still be tighter, punchier, and more emotionally charged. Okay, so that's some fair points right there. So right now it reads like a bit like a product walkthrough. So it's still kind of just like a product walkthrough. It's saying it needs to be more emotional. It needs to hit on those emotions better. Now, to some extent, I do agree. To maximize conversions, it needs to hit harder on the disgust, the embarrassment, pride, social proof. Those are some good points. So the hook, it says the strengths, we have multiple variations. They're good variations that it likes. It leans into the problem, the weakness. Now for this one, it says it's a funny opening statement, but it's like, well, it may not be scroll stopping enough unless you have a strong visual. So we need a strong visual for this hook to make this hook work. So here are some fixes that it recommends. Now, I don't necessarily know if I like all of these. This first one's pretty good. If you're still spitting in bottles, you're disgusting. That's a pretty strong statement right there, right? Or ladies, this is what your man leaves around the house. That one's pretty good. I don't know about this last one, really. Maybe, that might work. These are some good ideas, though. These are some good, solid ideas, especially these first two. I really like the first two. And then it goes into the strengths and weaknesses. So once again, calling out the problem, gross bottles. It's giving the clear, unique selling proposition or the clear mechanism that the product has that makes it easier to use than other versions that they may have tried. So in this case, this is a liner system for easy cleaning, right? So then you've got your social proof. Now it says the weaknesses are it still is a little bit product demo heavy. It needs more pain, more agitation, and then more solution payoff. So there's still room for improvement here with this script, and it's given me some very valuable feedback to go back into the script and potentially add some improvements to make the script even better. So then we can go down here and we can say, okay, what to fix to structure for a high converting Facebook ad. So the hook/problem. In this case, it's going to be spit bottles don't belong in your house, your truck, or anywhere near your kids. Agitation. So we're showing gross close-ups, a wife disgusted, kids almost touching it. Then we have the solution or the unique selling proposition, right? And then we go through all this, and then it even has, feedback as far as the editing. It says that we need faster pacing, where the cuts are every 2 seconds max. So for this style of ad, we need cuts every 2 seconds max, is what it's saying. So that's pretty good feedback to have. I like that suggestion of fast pacing to keep the attention. Missing meme style captions for retention. Yeah, I mean, we could probably add those. So yeah, overall, some solid feedback there. And we could even have this try to rewrite the script if we wanted. We could upload our product research document, and have it give feedback based on that, on how to rewrite the script. There's all kinds of stuff we can do with ChatGPT if you know how to use it. So that's the key to all this is whenever you're doing product research, whenever you're using AI for your advertising, the key is knowing how to use it properly. Do I just take a script and say, hey, ChatGPT, write me this script and then just be done with it? No, that would probably not be very smart, right? And so what I do instead is you can use the AI as a tool under your tool belt, no different than a mechanic using a tool under their tool belt, or no different than somebody building a house. They use a hammer, right? They use various tools to make that job easier. They don't just do it all by hand, right? It wouldn't be very efficient if you have a home builder, right? And he's doing everything by hand. He's like, well, I don't want to use a hammer. I don't want to use a saw. We're just going to do this all by hand. That's not very efficient, right? He's not doing that job properly if he's not using tools to be able to do the job, and it's probably going to be more expensive because it's going to take him more time. It's probably not going to turn out as well because he's not using the tools that everybody else uses, right? And so if you have this idea that you're just not going to use AI for anything and everybody else is using AI, they're going to beat you. You're not going to beat the people who are using AI for stuff if you refuse to use AI for anything. Right? Everybody's using AI, and so you don't have to like it. I mean, I get some people don't like using AI for stuff. They don't like it, or whatever the case is, but it's a very valuable tool if you know how to use it. It doesn't have to replace other people on your team, but it can work with them. That's the key here. So you don't have to replace people if you have a creative strategist, but this can be a tool that they can use to help get other ideas to help make your ads better. How are you going to compete against people who are using the tools if you refuse to use the tools? You know what I mean? So anyways, that is it for this video. If you found this helpful, feel free to leave a comment below. Feel free to like, subscribe for more. And if you got any ideas or anything, videos you want to see next, just let me know in the comments. So yeah, that is going to be it for now.